But if you're looking for your own job, according to the State Department of Employment and Workforce, the best way may not be to walk into a business with a help wanted sign posted on the door. It may actually be here. They say you simply should log onto your computer and click on their website. Because you may be making purchases this Cyber Monday doesn't necessarily mean it's going to get to your house when you expect it to. Some experts I spoke with say it could be weeks before you're actually picking up your package. Wednesday, I spoke with a Charleston city councilman about flooding issues here on the peninsula that he believed caused Roper St. Francis to decide to leave the medical district. On Thursday, flooding issues happened again here downtown that caused many streets to end up completely underwater. It's been 1 month since children 5 to 11 have been given the nod to get vaccinated. However, data shows the age group is falling behind some others. According to data from the CDC, just over 15% of children in that 5 to 11 age group have gotten their first dose. That compared to children 12 to 15 who had just over 25% of their age group receive their first dose a month after they were eligible. Parents in the Moncks Corner and Cane Bay area expect their children to get home when there's about this much light out. But in reality, a lot of those students didn't get home until there was just about this much light outside. And for at least one student whose guardians we spoke to, he was out on the bus for more than 4 hours. One person has died and dozens are injured after a volcano erupted suddenly on Java, Indonesia's most densely populated island.
With his son. We're going to speak to him right now. We're going to ask him, what exactly does your dad mean to this community and mean to you?
Well, for the community, my dad means a ray of hope. My dad told me the light in that gym always stays on because we might not be able to help everybody and save every kid. But as long as the kid's got hope, that light's on. Because if that light goes off, there's no hope.
Police in Oxford, Michigan say they've received multiple threats since Tuesday's school shooting. A vigil for the 4 teenage victims led to a moment of panic last night after someone fainted, and the calls for help caused others to flee in fear. Amid high emotion, witnesses say several people had panic attacks because they believed another attack was taking place. Police say the town is on edge, and unfortunately, they may have reason to be.
We're inundated with threats right now. We have threats against the candlelight vigil last night. We have threats against memorials. We have threats against individual deputies or law enforcement. It's absolutely absurd.
We reported last week on ongoing safety concerns at Berkeley High School, including fights, but we also learned today that there are also issues ongoing at Berkeley Middle School. And when I asked the district if there was any other issues going on, they said schools across the district were experiencing behavioral issues. One of the main concerns over people in favor of that station is that if it goes away, you may have to go a little out of your way to fill up your tank. So I took a ride to see where the closest gas stations were. The closest one in Charleston County is more than 20 miles away, while the next closest to the park is near Somerville on Dorchester Road, which takes you to here just a little further down the road where there are 2 gas stations just across from each other. It took me about 10 minutes to get here from the park. Before those preservationists adding that extra ride could be worth it. And the reason the mayor tells me you won't see construction in places like Center Street is because, well, the way it looks now is the way that they want it to keep on looking. All right, so Cheriston, I got to settle a debate going back to the cookie thing really fast. This is really important.
Okay.
Me and my roommate have a debate here. What's better, chocolate chip or sugar cookies?
Chocolate chip.
You got chocolate chip?
Yeah.
That's the right answer.
It is. That's
Alex,
the only
if you're
answer.
watching, we finally have an answer. Well, they say they remember a mentor, a friend, and a father figure. Everyone I spoke with say he changed their life in some way, and even though his physical body may be gone, you aren't done hearing from Hollywood Megat.
Hollywood.
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 The name, the legend, the legacy.
We're going to miss you, Hollywood. We're going to miss you.
Hollywood Megat was a fighter, a teacher, and a survivor. He beat cancer, 2 aneurysms, and through it all, raised a generation of men and women in the ring, leaving a piece of himself with each student.
And I want to thank him for being our father, our coach, and our best friend.
The many hats of Hollywood, ones he wore according to his son, for anyone that walked through his door.
No matter what you did in life, if you were wrong, if you were right, he was either on you But hey guys, our coach was always in our corner. No matter what you did, he was always in your corner. And as a son to a father, I couldn't ask for more.
Hollywood's gym hosted legends. He trained Muhammad Ali, Sugar Ray Leonard, and Joe Frazier, but in the end, he lives on not in the Hall of Famers, but in these people, the fathers, the mothers, the friends, right here in Charleston.
He raised good men and women. So I think the city, where he stands in the city's history is, like that plaque said, he's a Lifetime Achievement Award winner. So he's a lifetime achiever. He woke up every day with the goal to do something better for other people.
Even though he may lay here now, his legacy will live on.
You ain't heard the last of Hollywood. That's right. Okay? You ain't heard the last of Hollywood. He got work to do. See, he didn't want to tell you or didn't have time to tell you, but Hollywood got a lot of work to do.
So here's a video of some of that fire. There were fallen beams, burned up cookers, and a place that no longer looked like home after it was done. But today, Esther Cribb walked back into her Monk's Corner barbecue joint and says it felt better than ever.
Walking through these doors, back to work in a familiar place.
Thank you for calling Music Nancy.
December 2020 to October 2021 was a long journey for Esther Cribb, one she never expected to go on.
Well, it's been a long 10 months.
One that involved not only the fire, but also one with COVID. Her husband was in the hospital with the virus when the fire struck.
He still has lasting effects from COVID, and so, you know, he's not here as much as he'd love to be. This was his dream, to open the restaurant. And of course, we've been supportive of that together.
Two battles they fought together and won. The dream is still alive. Steam is once again rising from the buffet on East Railroad Avenue. Her husband is home. And for Cribb, seeing her dining room go from ashes to whole again gives her a new perspective.
I feel like I'm stronger than I was. And, you know, it's taught me a lot that you know, you just don't give up. Keep on going.
We'll get that ready for you. It won't be but just a few minutes.
And they have kept going, but not without some help.
We've had tremendous support.
She says the Monk's Corner community has been with her every step of the way.
They supported us. They continually supported us. And that was just overwhelming to all of us. And, you know, just, you know, being here now, we can already see that the support is really good too.
Support through the hardships and after two hard-fought victories, but one thing is still important to remember. You're not just entering a restaurant when you walk through these doors, you're walking into something else.
It's more homey, I would say.
So here are the images of Charleston's top cop getting that shaving done. He said he did it in public to show people they can keep on fighting, and he's not tapping out. Now, after this cut, Chief Reynolds and I sat down with one of his closest friends, North Charleston Police Chief Reggie Burgess, to talk about the outlook that this diagnosis has given both of them.
What are we going to do with it today?
We're going to get the whole thing, man. We'll do the whole shooting match.
A buzz and a shave.
That's funny.
For a fighter looking to help others stay in the ring.
But in terms of what I could share with other people, it would be, don't ever give up. No matter where you're at on your journey, no matter where you're at in the season of life. And I can tell you, facing my own mortality, hearing some of the news that I've had to listen to, it makes you think about what you're doing with your life. What's the impact? What's the legacy?
Charleston Police Chief Luther Reynolds had his head shaved Monday in wake of his cancer diagnosis, but for him, this isn't a curse. It's an opportunity that has made him see more clearly.
I believe that this challenge that I'm having right now, some good's going to happen from that. And if we save one life, it's worth it for me. One. I can't change everything in the world. I can't make everybody happy. I can't change the amazing, significant, painful history that we have to live with race and so many other things. But somehow I can enter into that. We can enter into that conversation. We can be present, and we can help people.
And Reynolds' presence is already affecting others and his best friend and closest ally, North Charleston Police Chief Reggie Burgess.
every time, Mr. Thad would cut, I said, I'm thinking about my hair. I said, man, I'm thinking about it, but I'm looking at him and I'm saying to myself, he's not even thinking about the physical part of the hair. He's thinking about it's something that needs to be done.
Burgess says seeing someone he calls his brother go through this is hard, but it's also something he believes removes all excuses.
This is a different city, but I can't sit back and make an excuse to say I'm not going to do what I need to do, because Luther Reynolds, he would do differently.
And it's that name, Luther Reynolds, that has taken on a new meaning for Burgess because of how he has reacted to this challenge. It's no longer just brother, it's motivation.
I sit back and I think about Luther Reynolds. I said, this guy is going through worse than I ever went through. And he keeps his eyes, and his head to the sky. So yeah, I'm emotional right now, but I am so blessed that I'm with him right now.
For Reynolds himself, it's not about him or his name. It never has been. It's about his officers, his family, and his community. And the example he says he has the opportunity to set.
How can I use my gifts, my skills, my time, my possessions, my resources, and I have a lot in my position. How can I use those to leave things better than how I found them? And that's a great opportunity. It's a great place for me to be in life, that I can make a difference.
Reporting, I'm Eli Brand.
Tessa, the normal route they would take would obviously be a straight shot from the U.S. to South Africa and then back home. But with restrictions in place due to the new Omicron variant, they can't come back to the U.S. without quarantining in another country for 15 days first. So their route's actually going to look a little more like this. They're going to get on a plane, go to New York, then go to South Africa before having to go back to Mexico for 15 days to do that quarantine before finally being able to come home. Now, they say this crisscross of the globe is actually their best case scenario, but there's also one where they could be stuck indefinitely.
We had just finished eating and my phone just started to blow up with messages. Have you seen, have you seen, have you seen it?
That news is something Allison Sampson and her husband did not want to hear over Thanksgiving dinner. President Biden established a travel restriction for people looking to enter the U.S. from South Africa due to the new Omicron variant of the coronavirus.
It's Thanksgiving and you with people and you celebrating and you giving thanks. And we had just an hour ago said, we're so grateful, we're going home. So that really just completely wrecked our plans.
Sampson and her husband are South African natives who have lived in Mount Pleasant for the past year now for work. They were headed home to see their children and parents for the first time in years.
The last time we saw them was when they came to us in New Jersey in December of 2019.
But with these new restrictions, that quick trip is turning into more of a long journey. Sampson and her husband live in the country under a visa. Only U.S. passport and green card holders are allowed to fly straight back into the country from South Africa, meaning the couple must quarantine in Mexico for 15 nights before being able to come home. But even that window is narrowing. Right now, only one airline is flying from South Africa.
So we have one route out of South Africa, and that's on Lufthansa. And if they put a restriction in place, we will be stuck in South Africa. So it's a huge risk.
But that risk isn't nearly enough to keep them from boarding the plane.
You know, being separated from your family is the worst thing. It really is. I have to see my children. Also, my parents are elderly and this might be their last Christmas. So I have to go. I have to go.
She says their predicament is difficult to understand.
I almost feel, why did we bother to get vaccinated if they're not going to let us fly? How does COVID know that I don't have a US passport? You know, it just doesn't really make sense. I could be sitting next to somebody who has an American passport at a local Starbucks in Johannesburg, and both of us get on the flight, and who knows who's going to get COVID.